was bringing it. My son started his professional career years ago. So we talked to him earlier this year. He said, "This man word was somebody that's stolen the he had me hooked all the way on.
Taffany, can I borrow your agenda packet for just a second? Just for a minute. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Can we do roll call for it? Oh, no. Before our workshop. Mr. Clerk, call roll, please, sir.
Good morning. Mayor Van Johnson.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Estella Shabazz.
Present.
Chairman Nick Palumbo.
Present.
Vice Chair Linda Wilder Bryan.
Ready, let's go.
Alderwoman Carolyn H. Bell. Carolyn Alicia Miller Blakely. Alderwoman Bernetta Lanier. Alderman Dietrich Leggett.
Here.
And Alderman Curtis Purty.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. I now call this City Council workshop to order. Today is March 13th, 2025. The time is 11:04 a.m. We're going to ask Alderman Curtis Purty if he would lead us in our morning devotion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you would go to prayer with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you today seeking understanding and seeking the truth in times of uncertainty and in times of misinformation. We ask for your guidance as we work together to guide this city that we also love. We ask that you help us to open our minds and our hearts as we seek to be more Christ-like, for it was Jesus who fed the hungry and helped the poor. May we look past the distractions and the fear and the hate and discern what it is truly like and what it truly means to be Christ-like. May we love one another, may we help one another, and may we leave this world a better place when we ourselves leave this world. We ask this in the name of God the Creator, Christ the Redeemer, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all so much. I want to thank everyone for joining us, not only in our chambers, but across our various social media platforms. And I also see the greatest code and compliance team in the entire universe here. I'm just saying that I don't know why necessarily they're here, but I will tell our citizens that y'all could breathe easily because they're all in here. But when they leave here, you better get your stuff right and start living right because they're going to show you. We have a Mr. Manager, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Clerk. We have a variety of workshop agenda, public art master plan update, water resources update, strategic plan update, commissions, appointments to boards, commissions, and authorities. And then we have an executive session. Y'all, somebody requested exec?
You've got 15 minutes.
Okay, we could do that during lunch. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take the appointments first because that'll give you all more time on the back end, if that's all right. Okay, good?
Yes.
All right, so let's go through these under aging, Services Advisory Council, we have 2 terms expired. We have 2 applications. Estelle Mannion expired June 30th, 2024, and Dr. Daniel Brantley, members must be appointed by the city, must be over the age of 60, and 1 must be a minority. We have Sharon Wanda Akins and Brian Woods. Are these 2 acceptable?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on to the Chatham-Savannah Authority for the Homeless. We have 1 term expired. Darnell Johnson expired December. Ms. Clerk, you catching this, right? Okay. Darnell Johnson expired December 31st. We have 5 individuals. 1 is a county resident, so we want to give preference to a county residents. We want to give preference, obviously, to our residents. So is anyone there? Any preferences out of the 3?
Mr. Mayor, can we push this one back out to see if we get some more applicants?
Anybody
Yes, sir.
else? Okay. I'm fine with that. Does anybody have any issues?
No, sir.
All right, we'll put that back out. Cultural Affairs Commission, we have 2 vacancies, 4 terms expired, and they shall not serve for more than 2 consecutive 3-year terms, so that's 6 years, so I'm sure the clerk has made that very clear. So we have 6 opportunities here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
2 names. First of all, the reappointment.
Give you 1, sir.
Okay, well then I was going to ask if it's okay if we just reappoint that one.
Which one?
The reappointment that is requested, but I have,
Deborah Glenn?
yes, I have a request of my own on here.
Okay, go ahead.
Danielle Hodds, maybe?
Danielle?
Yes.
Oh, is it Hodes or Hodge?
Hodds, I think it's one of the 2.
All right, I will add Whitney Parker.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Yes.
That was my,
I'm adding Lillian Breitbart.
Okay, that's 4.
did
Mr.
you do
Mayor,
Whitney?
Alderman,
Catherine
Palumbo.
Catherine Toughness.
okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 1 more.
Linda Deloach.
Linda Deloach.
Has she served 2 terms?
Lydia, no, she didn't apply either. She didn't reapply.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, did I hear you say Ms. Parker?
Parker, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yes.
Yeah, there's another one from the 3rd District.
Well, I'm just looking.
Yes, sir. I don't have my list in front of me. I apologize.
Anyone else?
You said there's 1 more?
We have 1 more.
Valerie Kite? Sorry.
It's county resident.
Which one?
Good city resident?
No, I would prefer city residents.
How about
I'm going to prefer.
Valerie Kite from the 3rd District?
Okay.
Mr.
Anyone
Clerk,
else?
hold on, sir. Got Whitney Parker.
Okay.
Brian
That's-
Woods.
That gives us 6.
You got 6 already?
Mr. Mayor, can you tell me those last 2?
Lillian Breitbart, Deborah Glenn is a reappointment, Danielle Hodes, Catherine Toughness, Whitney Parker, Valerie Kite.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Economic Opportunity Authority,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
Sharon Wanda Akins.
We just appointed her, and I want us to push this out. This is,
Okay, so Brian Woods.
yeah, if we can, I want to re-advertise this.
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
agree with that.
This is a board
Yes, sir.
that we need to really lean in on for a variety of reasons, but I'll let you all know about that later.
That's fine, sir.
The Greater Savannah International Alliance, we have 5 vacancies and 5 terms, so we have 10. We can, what do you all want to do?
Can we push this one out too?
Well, we have some we can add.
Yeah, the
now.
ones after you add those, Brian Woods from District 3, sir.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Anyone else?
Lillian, another 2.
Mindy Shea?
Darren Begley Heath.
Mindy Shea. I'm going to add Twan Muhammad because he's actually staffing on, but I thought he was already on there, but
Mr. Mayor,
yeah. He is. Okay, all right.
Darren
Yes.
Bagley Heath.
All right, Darren Bagley Heath, that gives us 4.
Kathy Lavina?
Anthony, okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. And we could push 5? 2, 3, 4. Okay. Ms. Clerk, we'll push 5. Historic District Board of Review,
Next
again,
week,
another board I ask you to pay very special, particular attention to. We have a 3-year term, 5 terms expired. They must reside within the city limits of Savannah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I offer Robert Helms.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I offer Muriel Hamer.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I offer Thomas L. Thompson.
I hope y'all have talked with these folks before.
Yes, sir, we
y'all-
have.
Sir,
All right.
Yeah, I know.
Again, this is very important, and we need to make sure people on these boards, they're doing an extension
sir.
of the work of the city, and I want to make sure they're doing that.
Mr. Mayor,
All right. So I had Hamer, Helms, Thompson. Go ahead.
where's Hamer? Oh, I see it. Okay. Melissa Rowan.
Okay. That's a reappointment. Want to push the rest?
Just to
Yeah,
add,
4.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Ms. Gwynn did reapply on yesterday, or
Who?
2 days ago. Karen Gwynn,
All right. I would go for her.
If Karen Gwynn did,
yes.
if that
2
is
days
okay, I
ago.
would like to.
Yeah. 1, 2,
Put her
3,
name.
4. That gives us our 5.
Okay.
Okay? Historic Preservation Commission, the same thing again. We want to make sure they are an extension of the work that we're doing. And so we have a 3-year term. They must be or shall be city residents.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Scott Kreutzer.
Scott Crosser?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Dr. Courtney Bonney. Courtney Gruninger Bonney.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
Jeff Nortrica.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, do we recommend Brian Woods, or we did not? Mr. Clerk,
On which one?
No.
Not yet, on the last 2.
Brian Woods, please, District 3.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 2 more, or we can push. Okay. Let's push the other 2. Hospital Authority of Savannah. So they can live within the area of service, 12 miles from the hospital location, or within 12 miles of the sponsoring county, municipality, whether it's further, and I would.
I don't think
I'll
we have
push.
enough applicants.
Talk
Can we push that out?
I would do top
No.
with Celine.
Talk with Celine.
Is there anyone else? We could push the rest?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll push 3, Mr. Clerk.
Okay.
Moving on to Keep Savannah Beautiful. We have 17 terms expired.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
J.J. Bellamar, or Jean J. Bellamar, sorry.
okay.
I know him as J.J.
I'll do Sal Musgrave.
Mr. Eason, William Eason from the 3rd District, sir.
3,
Miss Stacy Hall.
that's 4.
And Hunter Chadwick for reappointment.
Mayor,
6, yes.
Kenneth Malcolm.
7. We can push the rest.
Push it out, sir.
Well, yeah, but the rest, I need you really to help us with recruiting.
Okay.
MPC, again, another extremely important, again, extension of the work that we do.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Travis Coles for reappointment.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
Joseph Irwin.
Okay, we have, those are the 2. This is just a reappointment for those 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Park and Tree, we have 1 term expired.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Samuel?
Samuel?
Yeah, Samuel.
Okay.
Eli.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move with that. Politics Commission, I would offer the name of Benjamin Bryan.
I agree, sir.
Me too, sir.
Airport Commission, offer the name of Shirley James.
So
Yes,
moved,
sir.
sir.
5 times, sir.
Savannah Chatham County Council of Disability Issues, their 8 terms expired, and we have 3.
Mr. Mayor,
Can we move?
Well, let me
And
now.
Huckabee?
I'm interested. One moment, Mr. Clerk, because how do we determine whether they have physical or mental disabilities? Do they have to self-report that? Because obviously, some of the decisions we're making are based. Their qualification is. So how do we,
Can they even disclose that?
well, I mean, they can disclose it. They would have to disclose it if they're,
I personally do not know the answer to that
right.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to offer Phyllis Rogers for airport.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question that I'd like to address to the clerk of court. I'm just curious, there are a lot of people, repeats, but what I wanted to know, when people serve on these committees, is there a attendance record? Because we don't want to keep putting the same people. I noticed in some of them, they say who attended and who didn't attend. And so I want to always base my decision on people who are actually attending and not trying to build a resume. So can you offer that in the next, to send in whoever's the chairman of that
Sure, I
board
could request
to do an
it.
attendance records with that too?
We require them not only to do attendance, but also an annual report.
Yes, sir.
As well, and we have been talking with the clerk about creating better opportunities for orientation. You expect folks to get on and they just know what to do. It's kind of hard for them to do the will of the city of Savannah if they don't know the will of the city of Savannah. So we're working on some opportunities of being able to do that. So
And a
thank you very
question.
much. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a term limit on airport commission?
No, ma'am, I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Well, no, it can't be because some of the folks been serving for quite a long time.
Yeah, I can research it, but I
don't
don't
believe
believe
it
I've
is.
seen any.
There is none.
Okay. So let's check, and Mr. Attorney, if you would help with that. Obviously there's a disclosure issue that I'm concerned about. Savannah Chatham Historic Sites and Monuments Commission. Must be a citizen of the county. Christopher Monroe is expired.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Kim Campbell.
Ken Campbell. Anybody else?
How many positions?
One.
One. And he offered Kim Campbell? Yeah, okay, I'll stand on that.
Okay. Savannah Development and Renewal Authority, 13 terms expired.
Mr. Mayor, we have appointed a few of these people already to other boards, and I think we need to.
Yeah, let me hold on. I think we are, there is some transitioning going on here, and I want to make sure we're not reappointing somebody without knowing where this is going to end up. So, Mr. Manager,
Mr. Mayor, we need
we can
I'm sorry,
discuss
sir.
that, how this is going to end up. So
And,
we'll hold on this.
Okay, and so for clerk of court, there is a incorrect address for Yolanda Ship. She actually lives in my district on Henry Street. It has
Okay.
county resident there.
Okay.
She lives on Henry Street.
She is a reappointment too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Can we at least reappoint her?
No, I want to wait
You
until
wanna
we're
wait?
Yeah,
able
but
to
I
see.
wanted that corrected because it says county, and she actually lives in the city.
I just used whatever they put in.
Addresses on the application, right?
Yes.
But we're going to push on that.
Yes, sir.
For the Savannah Economic Development Authority, we made an appointment that was held in abeyance because of a public service requirement, and that was of Dr. Ann Polite. And so I've asked them to hold that into abeyance until she was able to serve, and we had a appointment. So I'm asking that we just honor our appointment for one of those, for the open, vacated, rotating term.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
But I ask that we reappoint Greg Parker.
Okay. Is anyone else?
No, it's only two.
Right, so.
We stand on
if
the other one.
we can go ahead and we go ahead and just use the appointment we made previously for Dr. Polite and then reappoint Mr. Parker.
Yes, sir, I stand on that, I agree.
Anything? Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We received this book with all of the applicants and the information from the clerk's office on how many seats we had to choose from.
Yes.
But we didn't have any information in here on like a description of these boards and commissions and what they do. So I'm just assuming that everybody here know what's required of these people. So when we appoint, we kind of looking at these. And thank you for putting these resumes and all of that in there. That was really good because I took time and read through those, and we got some really great people applying for these. And then looking at and listening here, I just want to encourage us to kind of base these decisions. I was disappointed that I didn't have any first district people applying for these. We got to do something in the first. And last night, I've been going to meetings the last 2 weeks, and I told them I'm really proud of the people in the third district because there were so many people from the third district applying that something's going on in the third that have these people very interested and knowledgeable and active on these boards.
We're working.
And so
Well,
that's-
the alderwoman is pushing it.
and I'm glad. That's really good. I applaud that.
Thank you.
And that's why, in sitting here now, I'm just hoping we're basing. I'm not saying, oh, put this person because they're in the first. I don't have a dog in the fight. I just hope we get good, qualified people to sit on these boards. So I'm just encouraging us to make sure we look at these credentials here because it's important because we depend on these people and we appreciate their service. So that's it. Thank you.
And the clerk, it is on the clerk's website. It was also a part of the orientation process. For council, the clerk provides the information of each board, commission, and authority and what they do. And there's a commercial. If you would like to serve on a boards, commission, authorities for the city of Savannah, you can go to savannahga.gov, go to the clerk of council's website, and there you will find a description of all of the 50 or so. It's about how many?
35.
35. 35 boards, commissions, and authorities that we appoint to.
Ms. Mayor, for the record, I'd just like to reflect that everybody who I've nominated either got an email or I've worked with them directly. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's for Savannah Recreation Commission. We have one vacancy and 5 terms expired.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to reappoint Mike McCann.
Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Brian Woods.
Mr. Mayor, Miss Lisa Miller.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Boyer,
Bam?
the Boyer person.
Boyer
That's the list.
person? Who are you talking about?
Second name.
The second name.
Oh, okay.
And Mr.
I'll do Mr. Mosley.
And Mr. Javaris Taylor.
That's 6. And there are 6.
So I have 5, and we have one more.
No, you've got 6.
Right, we have 5.
It's a total of 6. 1 vacancy.
Right, we have 5 though, right?
No, you have 6. You have
who the
Lisa
names?
Miller, Boyer, Mike McCann, Javaris Taylor,
okay.
Brian Woods, and
Gotcha.
Stanley Mosley.
That's 6. All right, we satisfied with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Savannah Zoning Board of Appeals. Again, another very strategic,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I offered Travis Coles.
Mr. Mayor, Betty Jones.
It's only 2.
Okay. I'm interested in someone else as well, so anyone else?
Is Mr. Stephen Merriman for reappointment.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, Miss Sabrina Nagel.
okay. All right, that gives us 4 to choose from, so we're going to take a vote there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Traffic Calming Committee are from the district, so we have Alderwoman Bell. Who's your appointee, ma'am?
You got a second one?
Is that Matt Singleton? Matt Singleton.
Matt Singleton, thank you. Alderwoman Blakely is not here. Alderwoman Shabazz.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
need to reappoint, can we hold off on District 5?
All right, thank you. Alderman Leggett.
Terry Finley, sir.
Terry Finley, okay. All right. That gets us where we are. We've gone through 20, about 35. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your time, your diligence, and again, for our residents, be a part, be engaged, be involved. Thank you very much. Mr. Manager, Public Art, Water Resources, Strategic Plan, have at it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Great to be with you. Happy Thursday. Happy St. Patrick's Week. It's great that y'all went through all of those boards and commissions, which is about public service and public engagement, because today's workshop is really focused on public engagement around 3 really important topics that we're talking about. right now in the community. That's our strategic plan, Savannah GPS, which I think every member of council is being a part of. That is our stormwater utility fee assessment study, and that is also our public park master plan. And I can't wait for the updates to provide to council today. But first, Mayor, as you acknowledge, we have our code compliance team, but not only our code compliance team. We have a representation of all of our city marshals here with us.
Well, I want them to stand up because I know exactly who they are,
Absolutely.
so I can avoid them.
I'd like for all of our city marshals to stand up.
Oh, yeah.
These are the hardworking folks from across all city departments who are trained and who are deputized to enforce your ordinances. And they are going to be out in force over the weekend, and certainly on Monday during St. Patrick's Day, they're out in force every day and all night, and they meet 24/7 to enforce the ordinance that we have. So I just wanted to recognize them today and to thank them for their tireless effort and to dismiss them as quickly as possible so that back to work.
No, y'all hang out a while. We want y'all to hang out a while.
But also to acknowledge our chief city marshal, our revenue director, Judy Jones, and of course, our senior director for code compliance, Director Cynthia Knight.
All day. Yeah. Woo! Cynthia, Judy. I'm not finished yet. Cynthia and Judy.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You see these folks out and about, and they will be out and about this weekend. So please thank them for what they do and listen to what they say, and pay the citation if they write to you if you do something wrong. Thank you.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Question is, how many have been deputized since we got started with our seasoning?
So, sir, we have 84 deputized city marshals.
Deputized and badged?
Yes.
Deputized, yes.
Okay.
And that's a function of the position they hold in the city and the responsibilities that they have and the trainings that they have to be able to implement those enforcement of our code. But there are 84 deputized city marshals. That does not include fire, and that does not include police.
So how many classes are they taking now to become deputized and badged? To be a...
Jones, you want to talk about the process to become a deputized city marshal?
Now, I'm asking, Mr. Mayor, because I want to make sure that we are in compliant, because being that all of these things are happening in my district, I want to be deputized sooner or later.
Well, it's the city manager's responsibility to ensure, not necessarily the deputies, his responsibility to ensure that the function is carried out. So, I guess.
But I'm usually with him when we're walking around and doing this stuff. He got one.
Well, yeah, he's also staff.
Me too.
No, sir, you're not.
They treat me like it.
No, sir, you're not. You're not. You're not. So,
Director Jones, can you just speak briefly on the process for being a city marshal?
In order to be a city marshal, you are deputized based off of you have to know your ordinance. And once you are familiar with your ordinance that you will be enforcing, then your director assigns you, assigns you to me to be deputized.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I just want to reiterate what you said. I want people to come here and have a good time, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm representing the district and all the residents in the district as we have visitors come in, and be perfectly clear when we tell them that, you come here on vacation, you definitely can leave on probation. So it's a lot of things that are happening, and we look forward to a wonderful time.
well, I think there's a difference between criminal violations, which is a little different than some of the work that the city marshals do. So we want to make sure that they enforce ordinances and police do what they do. So when there's a difference. So,
Yeah, there's a difference. But if you violate some of these ordinances, you will see them other people.
Well, again, we hope that people won't do that. Our goal is people will come, have the time of their lives, and go home. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these 84 folks are really there to ensure that people do have a safe time, that they have a clean time, and that our ordinances are followed, which are designed for public safety and public cleanliness.
And we speak that into existence right
Amen.
now.
Amen.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was just going to reiterate what you said. Number one, and Judy didn't say this, but you have, in order to be a deputy, the first requirement is that you be a member of the staff.
Yes, she said that.
We are not.
She
did say
said
that, Judy?
Yeah, they did say it.
Oh, she did not say that, but,
No, but the mayor said
it. We are not members of the staff.
You're not a clown either. No.
Okay.
Well, thank you for letting
Thank
me
you very
recognize our city marshals, and they can get back to work. Thank you so much.
Be great.
All right. So first,
One thing, if you see anybody, ladies and gentlemen, if you see anybody named Van Johnson that looks like me, y'all just let me go on by where I'm going and do what I do, okay? All right, just saying.
Thank y'all so much for what you do.
Mr. Mayor,
do it.
Mr. Mayor, you see Mr. Botley over there, right? Jerry Botley is over there. Put your hands up, Mr. Botley. That's the boss.
Yeah.
See, that's the boss.
yes. So thank you so much. I think we got a few briefings for council, and would certainly want to know some direction from you on a few of these things, but to also let you know what's happening in our community. As City Council has told me, and as we in your visioning sessions and in the work of this council, a great city deserves great art, and of course, we believe in the artistic excellence and significance of Savannah, not only in our past and in the architecture and the art that we have here and have collected over centuries, but the art that's being created now. We are a city of artists and a city of art, and we need a public art program and a public art master plan. And City Council saw fit to fund the very first City of Savannah public art master plan, and we want to give you an update on that public engagement, the next steps, and where this plan is going to help us guide in the future. And with that, I'd like to introduce our Chief of Community Services, Taffany Young, and our Director of Cultural Affairs, Stuart Miller. Thank you.
Good morning. Last year, City Council approved a contract for a planning consultant to work with the City of Savannah, and that process got underway in earnest in about November, at the end of the year. We have a lot of activities that are underway now. The plan will come to Council this year. I think in the third quarter we'll be finished with that, and we'll have an opportunity for the public to weigh in, as well as Council to consider adoption of the plan. We also want to thank you for approving some seed money. You all approved $60,000 that we have sitting in a capital improvement account. So once the plan is adopted, we wanted to be able to hit the road quickly and have some quick victories. With that said, I'd like to invite up Stuart Miller. He's the Director of Cultural Resources Department. He is our lead project manager for the process, and he'll give you an update of where we are. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Stuart Miller. I'm Director of Cultural Resources, and I am serving as the project manager for the Public Art Master Plan. The overarching goal for this study, the Master Plan study, is to provide the city with a guide to creating a public art program that is focused on responding to the needs and interests of residents for public art. Our consultants for the project are a group out of Columbus, Ohio, called Designing Local. When we initiated the contract with them, we told them it was very important that we be responding to the interests of the citizens of Savannah, and in turn, they contracted with two consultants out of Savannah, Ethos Preservation and W Projects, Both of those groups have done work previously with the city, and both are well connected to our local residents. So we have had them on board to help us reach out to local residents and engage them. Well, this is a broad timeline of the project. We started with planning back last September, and I'll be speaking to each of these stages individually in a moment. We worked through a community dialogue and engagement, which we are just wrapping up right now. Next stage is the consultants will synthesize the ideas and define strategy. And then, as Chief Young said, later this year, August, September, we'll be bringing back to you a report for final review and adoption. So project mobilization. The consultants came here in November, and we knew it was very important for them to get the lay of the land. To do this, they visited existing public art sites, such as the Victory Shopping Center and Market Arena, Yamacross Square, WW Law, and they also visited places where public art could be present. Neighborhood parks, the Tide to Town Trail, the Waters Avenue corridor. Again, they got the lay of the land just so they knew what the community assets were. And at this time, they also started an initial meeting with residents and stakeholders. They established a project brand. There's a website now for the Public Art Master Plan, which is savannahpublicart.com. We also established a 13-person steering committee who are helping to guide the progress of the project. The steering committee consists of city staff, artists, and residents at large from all districts. They serve as a sounding board for the consultants and help to guide the progress of the study. The consultants also have been conferring with stakeholders, 25 stakeholders. Those include the Friends of African American Art, Art Southeast, Soy by Soy. Those are all artist groups, artist coalitions in Savannah. They've spoken with representatives from SCAD, HSMC staff, Telfair Museum, and also staff from 8 different city departments which will eventually play into the adoption and the operation of a public art plan. Those include Park and Tree, Recreation Leisure Services, Development Services, Planning, Capital Projects, and Economic Development. The consultants initiated a public survey, which is still open through the end of March. So far, 425 plus responses. And we are just wrapping up community meetings, both virtual meetings and in-person meetings in each district. These meetings have been a chance for community members to hear about public art and really give their ideas about what kind of public art and where they would like to see it in their respective districts. And that's really is the key to this study, is hearing from residents about where in their respective communities public art could be best employed. The next steps. The consultants are now, as I said, wrapping up the community engagement portion. They're in the process now of synthesizing this information and putting it into a plan that includes the ideas and ideas given to us through the meetings and the surveys. The plan will provide Savannah a unique plan that evokes the sense of place of our city. We are going to evaluate assets, which includes a master list of public art currently on display. We will be establishing a professional management process and a plan for implementing and maintaining our art installations. We will begin writing recommendations this summer and have a draft to us by early summer. These will include locations for public art project ideas, and art themes. Again, these are going to echo the information we've received from residents. This is a resident-driven plan. The plan will also include how public art might be funded and recommended procedures for managing public art programs. Lastly, the public art survey is still taking submissions through the end of March, so if you have not yet completed it, please do. Please share it with your constituents. The more people we have giving us their ideas and thoughts on this, the better. And with that, that is my brief presentation. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
Mr. Manager?
Yes, we'd love to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to pass along compliments to the team. I had the chance to participate in my district meeting and just wanted to send my highest regards. It's artistic, it's vibrant, it's fun, it's got its own website. The survey looks like a public art master plan survey. It's not a boilerplate City of Savannah survey. Like, it's fun and it's engaging, and it's moved from the discussion from what are we getting to what are we doing. And I'm really appreciative of how everybody in the engagement process are reaching for ways to bring all of our districts in the entire city together through a small but mighty plan. So thank you so much. It looks awesome. And quick commercial break, if you haven't checked it out, I think it's SavannahPublicArt.com.
That is correct.
SavannahPublicArt.com. You go and check it out.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. We just returned from D.C. where there was some big news involving some public art. City manager is familiar with, but we know that cities that have public art and embrace public art are cool cities. And people want to live in cool cities. All public art is not necessarily appropriate in all places of the city. And so I think for us to make sure that we're taking a holistic approach and making sure that we're matching the art with the character of the community in which the art is residing in is prudent and appropriate. So I appreciate all the work. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you for all who's involved in making this happen in our city. It's a beautiful work, and it's a work that takes our community to another level, and I'm so glad it's just inclusive of everybody. That's what I take from this as I've been watching and reading and looking at this. So I thank you all so much for just being inclusive. The other thing I want to mention is I got this philosophy of when you know where you've been, you know where you're going. So as you were talking and doing your presentation, I want to ask a question. Have we reached out to Lou China, who oversees our just history and herstory of the city of Savannah, to find out what was in reference to art in Savannah?
The Municipal Archives will be a stakeholder in the process, yes. They are a partner agency, I think. And when we talk about the history and culture of Savannah, certainly that's a department we will be speaking with.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank his staff for all they do and taking care of the new Otis Johnson Cultural Arts. It was really nice. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Manager, yes, sir. I just want to thank you all, and I appreciate the process. It's admirable. I could see the thought put into reaching out to residents. And this is in keeping with our new strategic plan. You've already, or actually rolling out the way we're going to do business and inclusively. And so thank you for that. And I think our city and our residents need to recognize that we are serious about this new inclusive way of doing business. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I saw a beautiful piece of artwork in the middle of the intersection in Cloverdale I was riding through. And that say, if that's going to be what it looked like, that is beautiful. And I just encourage everybody to ride through the 1st District in Cloverdale and see how beautiful that is leading up to the school.
Yeah, ride by it every day. Cynthia and Cloverdale
Drive.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, can I add to that that's not only a public art installment, it's also a traffic calming device.
Yes.
So it's a twofer. So that's it.
It is. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stuart and Taffney. And I'll tell you, folks get pretty excited about public art. And we saw just as lively as an engagement around public art as we have around our strategic plan and the day-to-day services of the city. People really do get excited about that. I want to now ask Chief of Water Resources, Ron Feldner, and his team to come talk about some of the engagement that we are doing around the stormwater user assessment fee process. We came to this workshop earlier in the fall to discuss that progress. We so thank City Council for the huge show of support you had for our stormwater program and thinking differently about how we fund the infrastructure we know we're going to need now and into the future to keep our streets and our city dry. And Ron's going to give an update on that. But we also wanted to provide an update to you on the regional surface water treatment and delivery strategy that we've discussed with council and that Governor Kemp and the General Assembly saw fit to fund in the FY25 supplemental budget that was signed by the governor just a few days ago, which means that the city of Savannah will be receiving $146 million, half in direct funding and the other half in 0% favorable finance loans from GFA to get started on the work, more than $500 million of work we need to do on upgrading our industrial and domestic surface water treatment plant that we hope to have council out there to see again very soon, so you can see where it's like now and see where it is in the future. But that was a really, really huge legislative win for us this season. I want to thank every member of council for the work that you did. I think the show of support publicly that this body has had for our water system and the importance of that water system and knowing that we need to invest in it for the future was a big reason for the confidence that I know that our local delegation, the General Assembly, and the governor and his staff had in our ability to carry out this big project, and which is why it's appropriate now for Ron to kind of update us on where we are on both those items. Ron did want me to make a joke about it being St. Patrick's Day and we're wearing green, and we just got a lot of green from the state to invest in our water plant. So I'll make that joke and hope it's appreciated.
Mr. Manager,
so well done, Chief.
Before Ron gets started, I certainly contacted the governor and extended our thanks to him, to members of our General Assembly, particularly our local delegation, our lobbyists, certainly to you, to Joe, Sherhouse, and the rest of our team, certainly the council. This is huge. When you look, this is a 2-county and a city combination in which this creates a win-win for us, major money that's coming from the state that does not necessarily involve the taxpayers of our community. And so I thank all of you and the aforementioned folks of really setting ourselves up for a huge legislative win. This is not small money. No. And not only will this help us to improve our I&D plan, it also will ultimately return capacity back to us to address our future needs.
That's right.
And gets us out of the Bryan County, Effingham County business and let them handle their water business and we handle our own. So
yes,
thank you all. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
And I was remiss, Speaker John Burns, also a huge leader in this effort, and his leadership should be thanked as well. And for our ratepayers, and I know that Ron will get to this, this is a money saver for our ratepayers as well. This work was needed to be done and would have been done. And we got help from the state to do it that we don't have to charge our ratepayers for. So big, big work from Ron and team. Thank you.
All right. I guess it's still good morning. So pleasure to be here with y'all today. Exciting things going on in water resources with the city of Savannah right now. So we'll jump right into it. I always give a little overview of the things we're going to talk about there on our acronym slide. City managers, given some background here, and the mayors obviously elaborated further, that in the short term there's a projected 6 million gallon a day near-term water demand for North Bryan County. That has been a lot in the media lately about the groundwater well supply being that source of water. And that's been going on now for many months and played itself out to a time period of initially 25 years that's since been scaled back to 15. And as you're going to hear in our presentation today, it looks like that groundwater supply need is going to be reduced even more rapidly in the coastal region as a result of this proposal and plan. In addition to all that happening over the next 15 years or so, growth in the region is going to necessitate a significant increase in surface water supply to the region. And at the same time that this increase in demand is occurring, we're seeing a reduction in our ability to withdraw groundwater and use that as a potable water source. So the overall proposal here said it's going to be a little bit more of a short-term rapid response to some of the issues that are going on in the region over the next 5 years. The funding that Savannah's been provided is going to obviously spearhead the effort for us to get the additional 8 to 10 million gallons a day of supply made available for the region, specifically to Effingham, North Bryan County, as well as the city of Savannah's needs. I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. And in these next 5 years, you're also going to see, in addition to I&D expansion work, Effingham County building a new second water treatment plant here in the region to supplement what the I&D facility has been doing for 80 some odd years. Beyond 2030, Effingham County would come online with initially 12 million gallons a day of supply, and Savannah would continue to provide regional supply to the different customer end users here in the region, while at the same time this whole plan will be reducing our reliance on groundwater supply, which of course is a regulatory mandate that we've been dealing with for the last 20 plus years. So the plan is broken up into 2 phases. I think this map really tells an interesting story. The orange line that you see there is an existing transmission water supply line that's been in place since about 2000 between the city of Savannah and Effingham County. And what you're seeing there is the dash blue line is the future large diameter transmission line that's going to carry surface water initially from Savannah through the orange line to North Bryan County and parts of Effingham until in the future, phase 2, Effingham begins to draw water up in the northeast corner of the map and brings that raw water down to their future treatment plant and begins to then supply North Bryan and parts of Effingham County in the future. So we were able to capitalize on our existing infrastructure, that orange line, to deliver water very effectively to the region, and we're going to talk about that here some more. The original plan that was put forth over many years, and when I came on board 2.5 years ago, involved construction of that dashed red line and not this Effingham County option. So what's interesting about that is, and a couple folks here deserve some credit, Sean Rosenquist on the front row there and Brian Shaw, they came to me with an idea. You know, instead of building that red line, that red dashed line at $125 million in cost, what about if we instead made the connection through that existing delivery point to Effingham County and let Effingham County take the lead in providing the supply in terms of the pipeline and the actual water volume in the future. So credit to the staff for coming up with an idea that obviously got a lot of traction over the last few months. And as a result of the efforts of both their technical and strategic planning ideas combined with obviously the efforts of our governmental affairs folks, the resulting plan has a positive financial implication on Savannah of about $125 million because we're not going to build that red dash line through northwest Chatham County. In addition, we'll save a lot of operations and maintenance costs because we're not going to operate that 80,000 linear foot line in the future. So some of the benefits that Savannah is going to see, and this was important because when the city manager spoke to you and we gave a presentation back September 12th, we wanted to make sure that Savannah benefited from any future plan that we put together in addition to regional benefits. So I've articulated some of the benefits here that the Savannah water system and our customers will see, once again, in addition to the regional benefits, and it's kind of some of the things that have been talked about on the previous slides. Water supply to Effingham County and North Bryan County via that existing delivery point such that then the water moves through Effingham County to North Bryan at a savings of about $125 million. We then can reallocate that money into our capital program to increase water supply and level of service for those areas where the heavy blue lines are down in the lower right part of the page. And that obviously is feeding the downtown area and the west side. So at the end of the day, we've got water supply redundancy with Effingham County and the ability to reappropriate or reallocate that money to City of Savannah customer needs while we're also benefiting the region. So here's where it all kind of rolls up financially. As the city manager said, about $500 million. Our share of that was $146 million. I have the 50-50 there because half that money is going to be in state direct investment, a grant, and the other half is going to be in zero interest GFA loans. I would be remiss if I didn't welcome Judy Adler with GFA. She's going to be a very close contact of us in the coming months as we go ahead and lock in this funding plan with the state. Judy's going to be our point of contact, and we wanted to give her a seat here on the front row today, as we'll be working very closely with her on putting this funding to work here in the coming months and into the next couple of years. So that's the financial side of it. We're very grateful, as the city manager said, to all the parties that assisted us at the state level, locally, and so on. And with that, take any questions or discussions from City Council.
City Manager?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any questions? Let me start off. I am smiling this morning because I was just elated when the city manager sent over the news that Savannah, and it was really, really an odd time. So I knew it was something going on really good when the city manager got in contact with all of us in reference to this $146 million? $146 million share of the funds for the city of Savannah. I just want to thank the city manager, Mr. Feldner, the entire team for the work. As he was talking, I made a note. My fellow technical-minded people. I said that just great minds do great work. So thank you all so much for your thoughts and even going even deeper into helping these funds go even further with in the conversation that we're talking about and saving $125 million. It is exciting news because I've been screaming for the past decade. Now this is, to me, this is huge news, huge. For the past decade, I've been screaming, and we are beginning to hear and listening. And I want to thank Governor Kemp. I want to thank Speaker Burns and all of our legislative team, bringing it home to City Manager, to Chief Shearhouse, on just staying on the job and staying present and being at the table. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you just don't know, but I know what I'm talking about. So thank you so much for just staying, being present, staying up, staying to the table, and making sure that our name stayed on the table in the center, and that's why we got this money. It wasn't easy work. So thank you all so much. I've been screaming. It's getting ready to happen, public. We're talking about saving some of these dollars so that we can do improvements in the city of Savannah.
and more specifically in the west side of the city of Savannah. I need 5 microphones because we're getting ready. It's getting ready to happen. It took a while, but it's getting ready to come down the pipeline. And city manager, staff, thank you all so much, and we look forward to what's getting ready to happen in reference to our water resources and everything. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
You might want to speak a little bit more. I mean, I know you can't speak specifics at this point about how the innovative work of your staff and recommendations of changing the construction costs and saving that $125 million that you talk about, how this is going to affect the rate users.
Well, as I said, Sean Rosenquist, Brian Shaw, great assets to our team. You know, they're the ones who really look at the operational and engineering design aspect of what we do. And, you know, it was one of those conversations that starts out pretty low key when Sean said to me, what if we didn't build the pipeline and we instead delivered it through the existing connection with Effingham County? And that's when you put your pen down and you look up from your desk and you say, let's talk more. And it was really something that we were finding very challenging to do that cross-county pipeline. You can imagine that route going down Dean Forest Road, Chatham Megasite, all those areas that are so built out, Pooler, and trying to build a pipeline and then operate and maintain it over time. So we had to go to Brian Shaw and say, Brian, can we accommodate more supply up through Effingham County through this kind of Plan B option? And, you know, Brian obviously did his work and looked at operationally how we could supply more water through that existing infrastructure. And once that kind of got married together in terms of, yes, it's doable, then it was a matter of us reaching out to Effingham County and having that collaborative discussion with them on what really became the start of the regional partnership. And they, of course, were open to such an arrangement, such a proposal, and it really just kind of got more traction from there. So everybody has a role in it in terms of the contribution that they made. So it's really a team effort, and I'm very grateful that the people that are involved, you all, city manager who was a part of this in the fall, and then of course the technical staff, really came together and came up with a really great idea that allowed us to, once again, reallocate or reinvest money that we otherwise had committed elsewhere many years ago in terms of a plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's important, a couple of things, notes here, and certainly learning lessons for us. The first thing is, Mr. Manager and Mr. Fellner, we need staff to be innovative. And we need them to be creative, and we need to provide them the space to be able to look at an existing problem and propose solutions that are a little different than what we or conventional wisdom would do. So thank you both for encouraging that environment. The other thing is, as we continue to move across the state, is that we have to think regionally. You know, we cannot just have a myopic Savannah-only approach. We're just not in that world anymore. And so this came as an opportunity for us to say, let's solve a problem and let's address our issues by helping folks address their issues. And again, this is a total regional deal, but it's win-win-win, not only for our friends in Bryan and Effingham, but also here specifically in the city of Savannah. So we have to continue to think more. You know, today it's water, tomorrow it's going to have to be transportation. It's going to have to be housing. Mr. Manager, it's going to have to be child care. Really, how do we get to where we need to be by looking for those opportunities? So again, I just want to thank you all. And then, of course, the whole legislative thing, how do we build those relationships, Joe, and maintain those relationships so that we don't have issues when those times come up. And so if we got to run to Atlanta to talk about it, we'll run to Atlanta to talk about it. But more importantly, have the relationships here that help to cement those partnerships. So thank you all very much again. Very
Mr. Mayor.
grateful for it. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Fellner and Brian Shaw, City Manager, Joe Shirouse. That's a great plan. I have about 15 years as an environmental health and safety manager for International Paper, Simpson, and Infor, and we got to protect what we have, and where we get it from. And so the interagencies, the counties and all, we have to work together, and I appreciate what you do. Brian Shaw, you keep moving forward. Appreciate you too. Mr. City Manager, Mr. Bates had a lot to do with it too. So just thank each and everybody on our team who make us a great team in Savannah. Thank you so much for the work that you do. I appreciate it.
Attorney Bates has everything to do with everything.
Yeah, but we didn't mention his name, so I wanted to make sure that we can put him in the equation.
The attorney doesn't always want to be acknowledged for it. I mean, he's always somewhere in somewhere.
Oh, my God.
Well, he's on staff, and so yeah. Thank you.
He's also a marshal, Alderman Lanier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions. First of all, thank you all for your good work. This is intriguing, and I thank everyone up and down the line that did their jobs well. For Mr. Fellner, with the improvements that will come from the $125 million savings, how will those improvements be reflected in the West Side service area? What would we see? What type of improvements will we see from that $125 million?
Yeah, right now there is a surface water supply system dedicated, to the west side and to the downtown area, and some parts of downtown immediately to the downtown area west side are also served by that downtown system that heads south on the page there. What we're going to be doing is enhancing our water distribution capabilities to deliver more surface water, larger volumes, obviously, of surface water into our west side and downtown west side, east side systems, so that as we scale back groundwater usage in those areas, we can increase surface water supply. And obviously you want to have volume, flow pressure, all the different characteristics you want to make sure are going to be suitable from a level of service standpoint for our customers' needs. We want to make sure that everyone has a level of service at their consumption point that they feel is appropriate for their needs, whether it's a business or a residence or so on. So by not having to build that large transmission line across the west side of the county, we want to instead obviously reallocate those funds into our water distribution systems and capabilities closer to the plant and to our residential commercial areas.
So those users, those customers, they will be receiving more surface water?
Yeah, we will be putting more surface water into our current systems as a result of the reduction in groundwater withdrawals that the state has imposed on us.
And it'll be integrated with the groundwater?
Yeah, there'll be some blending. There has historically been blending, certainly in the downtown system. So we'll be doing more of that and trying to find that right combination of surface water, groundwater blend to ensure level of service is what everybody desires.
And the groundwater versus the surface water, is there a difference in quality?
No, both of our sources, ground and surface water, fully meet all regulatory drinking water standards in terms of its quality. So we deliver it, the surface water and the groundwater, to different customers under different combinations of service. And in all cases, it's meeting all full drinking water standards.
I guess I'm trying to determine what makes this better. Why is this an improvement for those customers in that in the west side?
Well, we
downtown?
need larger pipe systems. We need to increase our booster pump capacity so that as we deliver more water, we can make sure that the pressure at the consumption point is what it needs to be. Low pressure oftentimes is a frustration for our customers. Mm-hmm. And if we're continuing to push more surface water into the system, we want to make sure that we can maintain pressure so that at the faucet, the spigot, the shower head, whatever it may be, at that residence consumption point, that it is what they desire it to be in terms of performance.
So the customer will see an increase in pressure.
They won't see a decrease in pressure as we try to supply it.
Okay.
And this is really, Alderwoman, to add on, not just a benefit to downtown or West Side residents where a lot of the surface water has historically been allocated, but these are system-wide improvements, right? So we're measuring how many millions of gallons a day we need to service all of our customers, whether they're receiving groundwater, surface water, or a blending of the two. And so as the city continues to grow, as demand on water continues to grow, we're going to have to grow our supply of water. And right now, that the only supply of water that's available for growth is surface water. And that's what we produce out of the industrial and domestic water plant and have for the last 80 years. And so while these improvements are being made on the west side, this is a net positive for the entire city of Savannah water service. So for all of our ratepayers, and that doesn't stop at the city limits as well. We sell water to our municipalities. We sell water currently to Effingham County. So all of our customers in our water system are going to benefit from these upgrades because we're adding capacity to the system that's going to outpace demand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. And that leads me to my next question, Mr. Manager. With the Effingham system being independent from us now, do we stand to possibly lose customers, and some of our customers may opt to go with that provider?
No. No, Effingham will, right now we sell to Effingham County. Mm-hmm. We sell water wholesale to Effingham County through the pipeline that Ron's described. When Effingham County is able to produce their own surface water with this new plant that's been funded from this partnership from the state, they will be able to supply water to Effingham County. We will continue to supply water to Chatham County. We are the water provider for the region, and again, we're a public utility. We don't make money on our water system, right? We charge the money we need to keep the system operable at the levels that our customer expects the system to be operable at, both water and sewer. So when we think about losing customers or losing market share in the water utility realm, as a public utility player, thinking about other public utility players entering the market, that's a net positive for both of us because all we're trying to do is create enough water to meet the demand of the growth of our region. And those pipes, as Ron has described, the maintenance on our distribution system is really high. You know, so there's a cost to trying to supply Savannah water throughout the region, which is why this is a really elegant solution. It allows us to focus on the growth here in Chatham County and the demand for water here in Chatham County. It limits our operation and maintenance costs because we'll be, focused here in Chatham County, and it allows our regional partners to be able to produce some of the demand that they'll need that we no longer will be on the hook to provide, right? So it's a win-win everywhere. So you can't think of it in terms of a private sector marketplace because as a public sector utility, partnering with other public sector utilities, our economics and our goals are much different.
So our municipalities on the west side, they wouldn't say, well, we could get cheaper services from Effingham. They're required to go with us, or it wouldn't benefit them.
That's right.
It wouldn't benefit them. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to mention, in reference to just saying the term the west side of Savannah, just need to make this really clear to our public. Throughout history and herstory in the city of Savannah, this segment of the city has been neglected. I'm just going to be real about it. And what is happening now is that our name is being written on the documentation. We're on the map. We're talking about increasing or stabilizing the pressure of water. At one time, we just was not even being talked about or even thought about. So what we got is what we got. So when we talk about equity throughout the city of Savannah, that is what's happening now. Everybody's included. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. And I'd like for Ron to move on to his next one. I think is really more about the future as well, which is our stormwater system. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that discussion. Water resources have been busy lately, obviously on the I&D surface water front, but also on stormwater management and specifically stormwater funding through the stormwater utility. And as we move from our discussion with you all on November 7th of last year in the workshop, we had given you some introduction to what we'd be undertaking this first quarter of 2025, specifically starting to get some community engagement activities going regarding the stormwater program, stormwater funding, and the stormwater utility in particular. So we talked a lot about different aspects of the city's stormwater management program and the drainage issues back on November 7th. That was a quick recap there in terms of the topics we discussed. And now we've made plans and put together an actual written plan to get out and engage the community on the issues of stormwater management, stormwater funding, and stormwater utility user fee development. And this is kind of a quick overview. We have a written plan for anyone who would like to take a look at that to get more detail on some of these different components that we've laid out on this slide. I'm not sure what happened to my formatting there, but the proposed agenda for the community engagement meetings, which are going to be starting here, we hope, in the coming weeks with y'all's support, deals with some of the issues we discussed on November 7th, but then also gets a little bit further into the stormwater utility concept and an overview of how that could be another resource funding tool for our program to enhance our level of service on the stormwater management side. I've highlighted there in bold with an asterisk the breakout groups. We found that the strategic plan meetings that the city manager's office facilitated back in February was a very successful concept, and we intend through our community engagement sessions, community meetings, to use a very similar approach to what was done on the strategic plans, or the strategic plan meetings, I should say. And what the breakout sessions at our future meetings would look like is what we've kind of taken here in this slide depiction, talking about, of course, funding, current and potential future strategies, including the stormwater utility. How could we blend together general fund taxation, special purpose local option sales tax money, grant money, so on, with a stormwater fee to get the additional resources into the program that we can enhance service delivery with. Of course, you can never have a meeting about stormwater management unless you talk about the projects and the issues and you allow the community members to come in and talk to us, the city staff, about their issues and specifically how we would address their issues through our service delivery plan that we're working on right now that involves the stormwater utility. So once again, those breakout sessions will provide a lot of opportunity for conversation, sharing of information, input from the community, and then, of course, our ability to respond and support the different requests that they have out there. We'll have a City 311 table set up, of course, so that anything that's specific and requires immediate attention, you know, we can get logged into the system and programmed for action relatively quickly. I'll close here by summarizing, of course, the ongoing community engagement that'll be lasting throughout the year. That's the external aspect of this project. There's an internal aspect of it with the technical work and analysis that's ongoing simultaneous to the external matters. So that's all going to be coming together later in the year for a recommendation to City Council based on the technical work and the community feedback, about moving forward with the stormwater utility concept, potentially in 2026, as another revenue source to fund our service delivery program for stormwater management. So with that, myself and Zach, who is here with me, of course, to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager. I'm sorry.
No, thank you. Just want to emphasize this is really related to the discussion we had this fall about a stormwater utility fee. And in that discussion, we showed a comparable of the stormwater user fee that I believe Garden City uses and other neighboring jurisdictions use to help fund stormwater projects. And we received really, really favorable support from this body to continue that work. And we want to be very clear that we're going to be moving forward to talk about that with the community in a very similar format as to how we did the strategic plan. So that's what I want council to be aware of very intently, that we'll be out in the community discussing our stormwater projects, how they're funded currently, and how a stormwater user fee program might help fund these projects in the future, and to understand their feedback on this system. So just want to be crystal clear about what we're providing in a briefing today.
Well, I want to make sure, Mr. Manager, I think, correct you, you received unanimous support from this body.
Yes, sir.
And unanimous consensus. I appreciate the approach. I think for us, this is hard stuff. I've been around for a while, and some of this stuff I still don't understand all the way, all of the time. And but we have to make sure that we are over gratuitous in ensuring that our residents understand this. Because if they understand it in the way that you help the council to understand it, then we understand why this is necessary for us. Not necessarily for today, but certainly into the future. And so I really want to make sure that we make this as elementary as possible. I know you all are, as professional engineers, and the PE's behind your name, you talk in PE talk. But it needs to be made in real simplified talk, so that people are very clear that whatever investment we're making is an investment literally that we're not kicking the can down our road. And we have seen time and time again across this nation where communities have kicked the can down the road, and they've had to do big things because they didn't maintain incrementally on the other end. So I just, however we do it, maybe we have to put a focus group together of I was going to say some kids, but they probably understand better than we would. But really just to make sure that it's being done in a way and the questions are being answered in the presentation. Because, again, we know how important stormwater is. We don't necessarily know how it integrates into our life and why the city's resources have to be used and why we have to continue to invest in it going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo the mayor's sentiments completely, and this is a rare opportunity. You guys know that I'm your biggest fan, fan club #1 out there, and but this is a rare opportunity to share with residents the threats that we're facing, that you guys see. You have the data. You know how treacherous it is right now, and we've just been very blessed, very lucky that we're in a position where we haven't faced a direct hit since the storms were named. But we know that that won't last forever. And so I happily volunteer key locations: Hull Park, Habersham Village, Kensington Park, Paradise Park. But I think that going to the places, going to the Springfield Canal, to meeting on site, going to the Fort Pulaski Tide Gauge to show residents that sea level rise is real. These are the daily measurements that we're facing. This is what we're going to see well into the future, and now is the time to make this investment for tomorrow, because by the time that we're in the cone of uncertainty, it's too late. All we can do is clear the drains that we have, but this is about adding capacity, which is really exciting. So well done.
And there's a storm coming. There's a storm on there named Van. this year, and that storm is going to be hell. So I'm hoping he don't show up. But I saw it on there, and I'm like, oh gosh, no. Alderwoman Bell.
I just want to echo your comments about a focus team, perhaps, just throwing this out, that it might not be a bad idea. I know you're going to the districts. I know you're having civic engagement sessions, but a focus team that's comprised of citizens from each of the districts to do, as Alderman Palumbo stated, explain those nitty-gritty details, but in very simplistic terms, so we can have citizens, a band of citizens that's an extension, of city staff who understands what's happening, who understands the threats, who understands the costs, and it certainly can't do anything but help us in the end, because it's going to be costly.
For sure, and I wrote down focus group at the top of my notes here, so I appreciate the input.
And maybe we can all, nominate a citizen for that focus group to, again, just run-of-the-mill citizens that now you have to figure out how, and those questions, again, take those questions back, integrate them into your presentation so that, is this too high level, too low level, too elementary? Alderwoman Shabazz.
Yes. My comment is that we did a stellar of a job in reference to marketing our strategic plan and our GPS. That whole thing was just great. And the mayor and council, we bought in real deep with that. Mr. City Manager and City Council and Mayor, I am asking us to do the same thing with this. If we can just go deep with this and with the marketing piece, and I do believe with all of what we did, we got the results, so strong results, and the involvement and the engagement from our public throughout the entire city. So I'm just putting that on the table. Thank you.
All right, Alderwoman Lanier.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, I think what you had here as far as next steps and that community engagement was where we need to be. I'm hearing go back to the small groups. I thought we were moving away from that. I thought we were going to this new concept of the way they did with the record, the art plan. And I see you following that same procedure, like what we're doing with the strategic plan. Stay there. That's what we're trying to do. Traffic calming, that small group, we get nothing done on the west side of traffic calming, and we approach it from that small representative group. So that's one thing. I think you're on the right track with what you're proposing here and what came before us today. That's what we're supposed to be gravitating away from into more inclusive planning. That's one thing. This is difficult for me. This issue, like what the mayor says, difficult. And I'm in a precarious situation because I understand we need that fee. I understand how it makes sense for us to do that as administrators and leaders. But I also understand in going out to the neighborhoods and meeting with residents and knowing the history of drainage on the west side, that this is probably the number one, close to one of the number one issues on the west side with every neighborhood, as you all know, about drainage and flooding and the infrastructure. Now, I've been talking about that the last 3 nights, Woodville last night, Cloverdale the night before that, Carver Village the night before that. That's what we're talking about. You all were there. Thank you for your presentations. That helped a lot. We're talking about drainage and why aren't there seeing any relief on the west side. I shared in Woodville about the main that's coming under Louisville. That gave them a little relief and hoping that that will solve some of the problems there. But what we're seeing in our area is infrastructure in a marginalized corridor in an area that from day one when the infrastructure went in was probably substandard because we were putting infrastructure in old slave plantations and the like. So therefore, we weren't putting in the top of the line drainage systems and the most thought out systems at that point. So we had to live and suffer through systemic problems from that system. We have still a lot of open ditches, and when the president said those S-hole countries, I could show you some S-hole stuff right over here. But so we didn't close up a lot of those ditches. Some of them have a foot or two of sediment in them. The water's going, the elevation is off. Some areas not even on the actual plan. And these are systemic things. And we're not talking fault or blame, but we're talking we can't do anything about it until we recognize it. I know we were talking about doing the modeling, and we're looking at what's already there, but we got to look at it more comprehensively. And so it becomes difficult. They chewed me out last night because they don't see results. And so we need to be looking at addressing that, but then I need to go to them and encourage them to tax themselves again, a fee. And that's where it's difficult. So the process is good because it gives staff an opportunity to have that conversation and understand why or why not. And maybe you can convince them this is the reason we need to make this, or help me convince this is the reason we need to make this investment. Because if I had to right now, and I understand why we need to do this, say I'm speaking on behalf of the people and we need another fee on top of how I got chewed out all week, it would be difficult for me to do it if I'm representing them. If I'm representing me and what I think, let's go with the fee. So that's why it becomes quite difficult for me. So I look forward to the process and the engagement and the help that I need from you all on the west side. Thank you.
And encouraging, well, also talking about the consequences of not acting.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes those that are marginalized often find the impacts of non-investment more devastating for not doing anything, particularly in this case in our models, particularly in the worst and devastating case scenarios. They are impacted even more than most folks. So I think to Alderwoman Linnell's point, you have to make the case. And I think that you can make the case. And reasonable people, I mean, there'll be people, no matter what you do, don't feel like there should be any, they pay too much and they shouldn't have to pay anything more. But then we also recognize that there is a price that we all pay for living where we live, and the lowland in which we live, and that we have to, you know, for us, doing nothing is not an option, and we're not going to be that city that that wishes we would have done something else. There's just too many examples around the country where cities did not, and you know, their successors suffered, and said if we had only done this much more incrementally over a longer period of time. So I think, Mr. Manager, I think, Ron, I think you understand where we are with this. You know, it has to be plain, it has to be clear, but it has to be convincing, because we're going to come back ultimately and say this is why we think this has to happen, and the data has to support it. Thank you all for being there.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
And City Manager, I want, before the partner who was she's from the state, who left?
Judy had to leave. I think she had a meeting to go to, but she's with the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority,
Yes.
which is a state agency, yes.
I want to thank you all so much for even having her close to us and in our meeting today. So I wanted to say that before she left, but she'll see the recording. Thank you all so much for your work.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, and thank you, Zach, and thank you, Ron, and thank you, team. I do want to give just a special shout out. You know, we have some really special chiefs and executive team members, and certainly a cadre of phenomenal directors. But I do want to shout out, you know, Ron Feldner. Hired Ron 2.5 years ago, a year into my job. It had been a position that had been vacant for a long, long time, and Ron has brought the kind of expertise, the technical expertise, but also the management and leadership expertise and skill needed to really move these efforts forward in a way that we really, really need. So I just want y'all to know that we have a phenomenal set of engineers and leaders in our water resources team.
We knew Ron from another city that he led,
That's right.
and we put the franchise tag on him and brought him over. He didn't want to do all the other stuff no more. He just wanted to do water. So, Ron, we appreciate
There's a lot of
it.
stuff.
Well, it's a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of stuff in addition to other stuff you were doing, and you're able to kind of, focus and lean in. Again, we appreciate certainly your help and your responsiveness to keep members of council when we're calling you screaming for stuff that's going on. So I appreciate that, Mr. Manager. Thank you. Got to recognize talent.
Absolutely.
Put franchise
It's a
tags
poor
on
frog,
players.
as you say.
Bring them in.
Yes, sir. And with that, I'd like to introduce another outstanding chief, Daphne Williams, our chief of staff. Daphne Williams, the chief of staff. Daphne Williams.
Oh, Daphne Williams. Oh.
So just to kind of round out our discussion today about big issues and how we're engaging our community on those big issues is Savannah GPS, our strategic plan. And of course, we thank council for their amazing leadership and participation in the public engagement that has been ongoing about the first iteration of this plan. And Daphne is going to give an update on where we are on that engagement and talk a little bit about the real hard work and the necessary work, which is putting that plan together and then being able to measure that progress and tweak it over time. So Daphne has been the project leader on Savannah GPS and is doing a phenomenal job in all things. So I'll turn it over to Chief of Staff Daphne Williams.
That's Daphne Williams, CPA.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. City Manager, and thank you to you, Mayor and Council, for your commitment to this project. I was always told that where there is no vision, the people perish. And so with that said, on behalf of the entire Savannah community and the generations that will come behind us, we say thank you for moving our city in the only direction that we can move in, and that is forward.
Yes.
And so with that, I will dive into my slides here. So our agenda for today, we're just going to do a real quick overview of the direction and the charge that you gave as it pertains to this project. Also going to talk a little bit about the strategies that we undertook in order to market and promote the project. And then followed by a conversation about our community engagement and also our employee engagement and the feedback that we have received to date. And then next steps and timeline. So you'll recall, Mayor and Council, back in March of 2024, last year, you convened a visioning session. And during that session, you discussed those priorities that you felt were most important to our community. That session resulted in 166 priorities, which were then refined into 6 goals and 8 organizational values. And then it was at that time that you directed and charged the city manager to go ahead and engage the community and to move forward with the strategic planning process. And that's exactly what he did and is doing. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the strategies that we have taken so far in order to kind of get the word out about this particular project. With the help of sanitation, over 52,000 of the flyers that you see on this slide were attached to our garbage containers, over 52,000. And I just wanted to take just a moment of personal privilege to shout out Jean Pravat, Hugh Andrews, John Denyon, Scott Miner, and the entire sanitation team for making that possible. Thank you so much. This would not have been a success. We would not be here without having their assistance. And in addition to that, wanted to also shout out our public communications department. They have been very instrumental in coming up with a lot of the promotional announcements that you have seen on our social media outlets. Also want to thank you, City Council, because you each have been very supportive with this project. And thank you for your promotional video that we also put on our social media. So thank you again for your support. Also wanted to shout out Lita Coleman and her team, our neighborhood services liaisons, for making the announcements and taking the messages to our neighborhood association meetings. So thank you, Ms. Coleman and your team. We wanted to also do something a little different than what we've normally done. And so we had 2 billboards, and we placed announcements on those 2 billboards. We had one on I-516 near Hunter, and then we also had one at the intersection of Middle Ground Road and Abercorn Street. And then another intentional strategy that we took, the city manager sent out invitations to over 5,000 businesses that are registered with the city of Savannah in order to encourage their participation. We also have some plans because we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to weigh in on this project. And most important, we want to make sure we hear from our youth. So we have some plans in order to make sure that we hear and we listen to our youth because it's so very important. So we'll be engaging our youth. We'll also be engaging our clergy in order to make sure that their voices are represented in the data that we're collecting. Okay, so how did we, so that's a little bit about how we got the word out. And this is a little bit about what we actually did to engage our community. So our message in all of our marketing strategies was really, we wanted everyone to either attend a meeting, one of the community engagement sessions that we held, or either to take the survey. We had an online survey, which was a little different than our typical survey. We didn't have, multiple choice answers. We didn't want to give the answers. We wanted to hear from our community. And so we took a different approach, and the survey that we actually put out was a survey that we could listen to our residents. We could actually give them an opportunity to record their responses. And so that survey is still available at www.savannahga.gov/GPS. We're gonna leave that survey open for another couple of weeks, so you still have time. If you haven't already completed the survey, we encourage you to do so. This is so very important. Okay, and so we kicked off our series of meetings, which were held February the 3rd through the 10th, with a virtual kickoff session that we held February the 1st. And that recording is also still available at www.savannahga.gov/GPS. Our mayor hosted that session, as well as our city manager and our strategic planning consultant, Mr. Rashad Young, with Elevated Development Associates. And then we had so many beautiful pictures. We just wanted to take a moment to just share some of those photos. So I'm going to breeze through these next few slides very quickly, but we just wanted you to see a lot of the fun that we had in engaging our community.
That second picture, I'm trying to see who's standing over that.
I think you can see Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so that we had fun, a whole lot of fun.
We can see you.
Whole lot of fun on the south side. That was our very first meeting. It was held on Monday, February the 3rd at the Windsor Forest Community Center. And then next, Alderman Leggett hosted our next session on the 4th at the Delaware Community Center. Great turnout, great energy. Also, the next night, Wednesday, February the 5th, we were in District 5 at the Liberty City Community Center. Moving on to District 4 at the JEA Alliance, and that was hosted by Alderman Palumbo. And I forgot to mention, District 5 was hosted by Alderman Shabazz. And then we moved on Friday to District 1, and that was held at the Coastal Georgia Center, and Alderwoman Lanier hosted that session. And we ended on Monday, February the 10th at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center, where Alderwoman Wilder Bryan hosted the District 3 session. So as you can see from the pictures, we had a lot of fun. Shout out to the entire team Savannah for showing up. We had over 40 employees at each session, and it was a long week, but we were committed and we made it through. So thank you, Team Savannah, for your attendance and participation. Okay, so at those series of meetings, nearly 300 attended, and also we received over 1,500 comments. So actually it was 1,545 comments, so we're really excited about that. We want to be very transparent with this process, so our city manager wants us to post all of the results on our website, so you'll see those soon. We're going to have pictures of everything. And so you can feel free to take a look on our website. As of today, we have over 900 surveys. Very, very excited about that, but we're not finished yet. So that number is going to increase. Just FYI, we're going to have an internal and external team that will be analyzing the data that we receive. Super excited about that. And again, we're going to post all of that information on our website. Something that we heard from the community during our sessions is that they felt like we needed to go to the community centers. So we're circling back to the community centers in order to engage our seniors, our youth, and all of the participants there. And so we're still working. Just wanted you to know. And we're making some progress, and we're meeting some amazing people in our community. And then last but not least, it was very important for us to hear from our employees. So our employees are so very important to this process as well. And so we are actively visiting each department in order to present them with information pertaining to our strategic plan, because we want them to know that their voices count and that they are important, and they are just as much of this process as anyone else. And so that's what we're working on right now. So in terms of our next steps, so we are wrapping up our community meeting and survey period. Again, like I said, we're going to leave the survey open for just a couple more weeks. And at that point, we've already started kind of analyzing the feedback that we have received from the community feedback sessions. But we've also got the survey data to analyze as well. And from that, we'll be able to draft a plan. And then we will present that plan to you, Mayor and Council, for adoption in spring of 2025. But we're not finished at that point. It's really important that we not just have a plan that's going to sit on the shelf, but that we implement that plan and that we evaluate our progress as well. So this is my last slide. And again, we encourage residents to please take the survey. This project is so very important, and we need your voice in order to make this happen. And with that, I'll say thank you again, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Thank you, Daphne. And just when she says, Daphne, that she's still working, I get a picture every morning and every afternoon. In the morning, Daphne and Lita are usually hosting a session with Team Savannah somewhere out in the field. And at lunchtime, they're sitting at a table with a lot of our senior citizens at our senior services, getting their feedback. And I've gotten a lot of fun calls from our seniors as well who want to talk to me directly. This is a great process, and I think with a great process, when you're focused on that, you'll have a great product, and that's what we're really focused on bringing council, are those objectives and strategies that are going to live underneath the vision, mission, and 6 strategic goals that council has set. And then every year we'll be able to program through the budget the initiatives and activities that live under each. So we're really excited about being able to analyze our feedback that we've gotten and be able to produce City Council with some draft objectives and strategies for you to consider as the first iteration of Savannah GPS. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Ms. Williams. This, if we were going to do it right, we knew it was going to be a heavy lift. That week was a particularly heavy lift for all of you. You worked your full-time job all day long and then had to put your game face on and find energy from somewhere to fully engage our neighborhoods throughout the night. And then to get the information, to review the information, to decode the information, if you will, and then go back out there again. We knew this was going to be a big process, but we also knew it was going to be a necessary process. So please accept my thanks to you all and your teams for just the work that continues to go. I think you've heard very clearly where the council was and our willingness to set a strategic plan that was fully inclusive and fully equitable, and that everyone had the opportunity to offer their voices to it. When this is done, I don't want to hear folks about, I didn't know nothing about it. There's no way you did not know anything about it, because I think we over-communicated, and intentionally so, that people could be involved and engaged. So we'll be doing the youth and our faith community soon, so we're looking forward to that in that space. And people can still fill out the survey. We want to get to over 1,000 survey answers, so we want to get there. We know we can get there. Alderman Purtee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really excited looking back at this sheet with the guy who is really of average height that can really see over the podium.
We did an equitable. We
did an equitable.
We put the equitable stand.
So, but either way, looking back at this, that Windsor Forest Community Center was packed for our very first in-person meeting. And the community spoke loud and clear. They were excited, they were engaged, and they're looking forward to ongoing engagement with the city. And like you said, this process isn't done. We're not going to put it on a shelf and not revisit it later, but I think for it to be an ongoing process of evolution, if you will, for the plan. Constantly going back to the community, soliciting feedback, asking for those evaluations, and looking at what the community values, because we know time after time, as things move on, the community values change. And certainly, I was excited to see the big diverse crowd that we had in Windsor Forest. I think that we do need to capture some of our youth in our community, and I think that's where we're going to really hit our mark once we get some of our youth involved. But I was ecstatic to see this. Great community engagement. Team Savannah did an awesome job, so thank y'all.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to continue the conversation that Alderman Purtee was just talking about in reference to the engagement of the community, because my district spans so wide. My district is the largest land mass district. That some of and I just want the constituents to hear when Alderman Purtee is talking that you are included, those who are on that end that's closer to his district on the south side, off of Tibet and Colonial Village and Hunter Chase and all those folks. And I'm just so glad that Alderman Purtee has the facilities that's near their home and just happen to be living in the 5th District. So good job.
Thank you.
And if I could just interject really quickly, I know we focused on our district meetings, but I do want to give a big shout out to our at-large members who showed up to every one of the meetings as well, and helped us out everywhere too. So, I know Daphne, I'm sure was including that as well. But
absolutely,
but just
and we included their photos in this presentation too, for that reason, because they did show up.
That was showing you was working.
Hey, that is
working.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
You done? Thank you, Mr. Manager.
1 second, Alderwoman Lanier.
Okay. Thank you all for the work. It was a great effort. The community showed up. It's interesting that in January and February and going to the community meetings, you know, I'm there, staff is there, city manager office folks are there, and all of us got up talking about this process, inviting residents to be there. So they were here 3 or 4 times at every community meeting, and we told them because it was just that important that they participated. So they were here 3 or 4 messages. And then at one of the last meetings in February, I think we had just finished up that Friday, and there was a meeting, and I said, well, I thank the residents for showing up and those who participated or went online. And there was someone said, well, we didn't know anything about it, an officer. And we looked around at each other because we'd done all this work to make sure we got the word out. I said, well, we tried to get it out. And it also, if you got water service or trash service that came to your residence on your receptacle, on the trash? Why do you put it on the trash? So you can't satisfy everyone, but I applaud everybody on staff for the effort that you made, that everyone made to get the word. I think you did a great job. And I had to tell the young lady, look, you know, before I got elected as an advocate, they were president, no one came and knocked on the door and said, you need to come look at this or you need to check this out. You have to be vigilant. You have to show up at these meetings. You have to go to your neighborhood association meetings. You have to read the paper or whatever you read online these days. And you have to make an effort. I think we need to have our residents understand that citizenship is an action word. You know, let's turn it into a verb. You just can't sit there and expect that everything is going to automatically happen. You have to be engaged and get involved. And I think that's a message we could share with them in some of these proceedings and to encourage more people to get involved. Thank you. Y'all did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Williams,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you so very, very much for all of your hard work, you and your staff, and Team Savannah for what they did. But I would like to suggest that you continue advertising and letting the constituents know that we have not finished. And this survey is so very, very important for people that could not make it.
That's right.
If they could do the survey, and you got to, I don't know how you can do it, even if you put it on Abercorn and White Bluff, put billboards, you know, use the signage there and in other areas of the city to let them know that they still need to get engaged and involved.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
just a suggestion.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's all right. We got the money.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, and that's all. And your help in spreading the word about the survey being open, all of y'all are phenomenally popular on social media, and that's the quickest and easiest way to get that word out. So, but very good point from all of you, and we've heard that from all of you. So we'll be sending you some more materials if y'all could share that. That would be helpful in our goal to top 1,000 surveys. And with that, I know this was a long workshop. I think we covered some really important items, and we look forward to the meeting at 2.
All right, thank you. Well, we're perfectly on time for 1 o'clock. I would ask for an executive session to discuss issues related to litigation.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for us to go into executive session for the purpose of litigation.
Litigation only, Mr. Attorney?
Second.
I'll add personnel, please.
And personnel.
Been probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We stand in recess until 2 o'clock.
Just give
down.